Should we start?
Yeah, sorry if I'm sounding a bit nasally, because I'm a bit colded up.
I don't care.
Oh my
the
god.
listeners might, but
oh my god, I just sound so nasally. Oh my god.
Are you going to do the whole podcast like that? Or?
Hi guys, it's Alice. I'm sorry that I'm sounding a bit nasally today. I've just come over with a cold that automatically changes my accent.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What borough of New York are you from?
Is that a New York accent?
I don't know. It sounds something East Coasty.
It sounds like a really annoying generic accent in the same way how Americans will do a really annoying stereotypically English accent.
But it's a specific stereotype. It doesn't sound like a cowboy or anything. It sounds like a stereotypic Jewish grandmother or something. Say Meshuggah. But yeah, on that note, you're listening to Laura Friendly with Kris Takahashi and Alice Bell.
Hi guys.
How are you, Alice?
I'm not bad, thank you. I went into town today to finish off my Christmas shopping. And
really?
I ended up buying myself some presents, including a really fancy goblet, which I am currently drinking cider out of.
Is that what you do? You shop for yourself?
Well, I went in with the intention to pick up the last bits and pieces, and I was in Paper Chase, which is like this fancy stationery store, because I was going to get my nieces something. And I just saw this glass. It was on 30% off. I get student discount on top of that. So I was like, you know what? I've had to deal with people all day. I've had to queue for hours. I say hours, it's more like 5 minutes because I go in, go out kind of thing.
But it felt like hours.
Yeah, it felt like hours. So I thought, you know what? I deserve this fancy-ass glass. So now I'm drinking cider out of my fancy-ass glass.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
Yeah.
It is so cool. I feel like a fucking queen or something.
It's very on brand for you.
Mm.
I feel like vampires only drink out of goblets. When they're not sucking somebody's neck, obviously. But...
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any red wine to put in it, so I'm just kind of dealing with piss-coloured cider, but you know.
You know how you have a keg and a spigot? Do you think they just stick the spigot into the person's neck?
I feel like it...
Just...
I feel like it might be that episode of Doctor Who with the plasmavore. It was the first episode that Martha Jones was in where they just stick the straw in. I think that's how vampires do it, you know? They don't want to make a mess of their lipstick, you know?
Well, I mean, maybe you're generic, guy who goes to the liquor store kind of vampire, you know, that kind of, your homeless vampire might just stick with a straw. But I think your, fancy pants vampires would have some kind of, I don't know, more complicated concoction or machinery. Yeah,
they would probably have, a proper, wine barrel. But instead of an actual barrel, it's just a human being, and they just attach it to the main artery or something. I don't know how blood works. It keeps us alive. It's got oxygen in it. That's all I know about it. I also know that you can check your veins to check your undertones for foundation and makeup. But that's a discussion for another day. Which we will not regale our listeners with.
Alice's makeup tips.
With Alice. I mean, it's kind of implied by the name Alice's Makeup Tips, so...
Yeah, it would be a little bit weird if it was Alice's Makeup Tips with Harry or something.
Alright, I'm Harry, and these are my kick-ass makeup tips. I don't know what the fuck that was. I think it's the cold medicine. It's sending me a bit loopy. I probably shouldn't be mixing cold medicine with alcohol, but hey-ho!
Maybe they're makeup tips specifically for people named Alice.
Yeah, the makeup tips for people who are specifically named Alice are don't get drunk beforehand. I've done that before. That was fun. The fact that I got let into the club was...
Yeah, you don't want to stab your eyes with your eyeliner or something like that.
It was more the fact that I looked like a drunken mess going into the club, where normally I like to save that till the end of the night.
Oh, yeah.
So the fact that I got let in was a miracle.
On the other hand, why wait? It's a lot more efficient to just kind of end up that way.
Just skip it.
I think we talked about an earlier podcast where we were talking about going clubbing and how it was just a waste of time because it was just like an excuse to eventually get to the point where you're outside talking to people.
Oh yeah, I can remember that.
And you just show up outside like, hey, that club was really rocking, right?
Yeah.
Just put on your acting shoes, and it would help if your like makeup was all messed up and you could like act like you were drunk, and then you wouldn't have to pay the cover charge.
Again, you're coming up with things that I've never even considered that would save me the whole £5 that I pay for club entry around here.
Yeah, and hours of drunken dancing.
Yeah, but that's actually fun. I don't want to skip the hours of drunken dancing, Chris.
That's true.
Because that's how you meet people to go outside with.
Oh, okay.
Or I think it was last week.
We talked about this. You could just show up and just pretend like, you were hanging out inside.
That requires like a certain kind of self-confidence to be able to go up to people when you're not drunk and be like, hey, so, club, great, yeah.
How about that DJ?
I don't go to places with DJs.
How about that band? I don't know. I don't go to either place. I don't go to places with bands or DJs or anything.
So, new Patreon goal. If I get to $100 a month on Patreon, I could save up to a trip to America to take Chris out on the town.
That's not happening.
And we'll audio record it.
I'll use my powers of persuasion, and we'll end up watching something on Netflix inside.
To be fair, I could definitely see that happening.
Speaking of Netflix, there's a movie coming out soon.
There is a movie coming out on the 22nd of December. So I went to... This is the first that I've heard of it. I went to go see Star Wars this week because that's the story for another day, as in next week's podcast that we're probably going to record tomorrow.
I did get my earplugs, by the way.
Oh, well done. I'm glad that they arrived for you.
So I'm all ready. I just need to buy a ticket.
Yeah, you should probably go see it at some point. But we'll probably record tomorrow's episode, like, tomorrow or something, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so you know how you always get adverts and trailers and stuff like that. There was a trailer for a thing called Bright. And I was just sat in the theatre like, okay, it's Will Smith. Okay, it's Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, what? That was literally my thought process. My friend was next to me like, Alice, what
well, you
actually
should explain
is this?
what it is.
Yeah.
It's like a modern cop movie, only it has orcs and elves and fairies and shit, right?
It's Dungeons and Dragons in the modern day.
In like South Central LA or some shit.
Yeah. Crossed with, what's the cop show? Name a cop show, Chris.
I don't know. Well, Will Smith was in Bad Boys. Is it like Bad Boys?
I don't know. I've never seen Bad Boys. I'm not exactly like a major film aficionado type thing.
Lethal Weapon? That's another cop movie.
I'm
really dating myself with the 80s movies here. How about one from this century?
CSI. Is that a cop show?
Nah, that's a little bit different. That's more of like a forensic science show.
I'd say Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but, like, again, different tone. Like, Brooklyn Nine-Nine's really funny.
Yeah, and also from this century.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine is from this century.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's from this century, so I have
yeah.
no idea what you're talking about. My references are all going to be from the 80s.
It's a good show. I reckon you'd enjoy it. It's got stupid humor, which is our kind of jam.
I'd say it's more of like a Lethal Weapon type thing.
Okay, that's fair.
Lethal Weapon, you have you have that dynamic with the crazy cop and the good like staid cop, I guess, more or less.
Yes, I've never seen it.
But Will Smith, he's not like the Danny Glover type. He's always kind of like has that comedic side to him. So I don't know if it's gonna be like that. It'd probably be the opposite. I'd say the orc is probably the straight cop, right?
Yeah.
And then Will Smith is like the wild card. But yeah, it has an orc.
And fairies and a nuclear weapon that is, or like a magical nuclear weapon, or a weapon that grants nuclear wishes or something.
The orc is like portrayed as a good guy instead of the constant Hollywood stereotype of orcs
Tolkien.
being evil. Yeah.
Look what you did to the movie industry.
Yeah, seriously.
Demonizing orcs.
Yeah. Imagine if like orcs were aliens from another planet. They came to Earth and they saw that they were always portrayed as like evil demonic monsters.
Oh god, those poor guys.
Seriously. It's like, what kind of planet
Yeah.
did we land on?
Well, I mean,
Bunch
we're a
of
planet
racists.
where we eat other species on our planet.
Yeah, we are a
Which-
planet that elected Donald Trump president, so
Oh,
it's not like we have to watch a movie to know what a lot of us are thinking.
Yeah.
But I like that his name is Jacoby with a K.
Is Kobe like a basketball player?
Well, he is, but
That's what I thought you were getting at.
no, it's a little bit of flair, right? You know, it's like, and I would think that an orc would spell Jacoby with a K,
Orcs
right?
do have a lot of K's in their names.
Yeah.
Like, you see it a lot in the Elder Scrolls. I mean, you have the Uruk-hai, who
Yeah,
are spelt with a
exactly.
K, I think.
Uruk-hai, Elder Scrolls, Shrek.
I think it all comes from Tolkien.
I feel like it's definitely historically accurate there.
Yeah, I
even
mean,
though it's not even real.
Orcish cultures in the past, they definitely use the K symbol more than they use the C symbol.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a ridiculous concept. It looks, and the fact that it's just so, it just strikes me as being so out of the box for stuff that we normally see, that I think that it has the potential to actually be okay.
Yeah, it looks good.
But Suicide Squad look good.
That's true.
And the director's the same person.
Okay.
So
Well, I don't know if Suicide Squad looked good. It looked like it would have a lot of flash. I don't know if it looked like it would have like much in terms of substance.
I think the thing was with the Suicide Squad trailer, it did a really, really good job of getting you excited for it.
Yeah.
Whereas
what
I'm not
trailers tend to
super
do.
excited about this, but I feel like it's interesting. So I reckon I'm gonna watch it.
It's just different.
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, it might not be different if it kind of follows the same old tropes in terms of like buddy cop stuff. You know, so
But it might just
I
be
don't know.
interesting to see it with fucking elves and fairies.
Yeah. It's kind of like Skyrim, the exact same game, only the dragons are Macho Man Savage. You know, I mean, it's
Bringing
same
out
tropes,
a years
same
old mod
concept.
there, Chris.
Yeah, just, you know, slightly immersion breaking aspects to it that mix in another genre. In Skyrim's case, it was wrestling. In this case, it's
Or Thomas the
Dungeons and
Tank
Dragons.
Engine.
Yeah.
Which, again, is probably one of my favourite mods. I loved Thomas the Tank Engine when I was a kid.
He is kind of terrifying.
Choo choo, motherfuckers. That's my Thomas the Tank Engine impression.
Trains probably kill more people on average than dragons do. Komodo dragons, at least. Or lizards of any kind.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that. I mean, trains are pretty scary things, you know? Are we counting just steam trains, or are we also counting, like, electronic trains in this figure?
I'd say trains as a whole. It's probably one.
Just
big
the whole
cloud of death.
on-rail
Yeah.
concept. But what separates a train from a tram, then? Because trams are also on rails?
Do trams kill people too, Alice?
I mean, apparently they caused some pretty bad traffic jams, because I had to go to a Christmas meal on Wednesday, and... Okay, so it's like a 20-minute walk into town. I ended up getting the bus, because I was running a bit late. It took me 40 minutes to get into town on the bus. I should have just walked. But I was stubborn. I had committed to getting the bus, so god damn it.
Wow.
I was
First
going to
world
stay on that
problems,
fucking
Alice.
bus. Yeah. But that was apparently caused by a tram accident, so
Oh.
this is the world we live in. They
Hmm.
may not kill people, but they definitely like to inconvenience you.
Yes.
So trains kill people, trams inconvenience people.
Yeah.
That is the
Lizards
distinction.
don't.
Unless a lizard ran onto the train tracks.
Oh, okay.
Or the tram tracks.
They know better.
Do they, though? I mean, let's face it. Alduin could have killed you in the first 2 minutes of the game, and he didn't. I don't think lizards are that smart.
He actually saves you, though.
Yeah,
If
he
it weren't for
saves
him,
you.
you die.
Exactly. He's such an idiot. Like,
It makes so much more sense if you just died right there and that was it, the end.
yeah. Just like, boom, yeah, okay, cool.
The game would be a lot worse or a lot less fun to play, but on the other hand,
At least there's no raging plot holes.
yeah,
Unlike some other things with dragons, what?
Yeah. I think that would kind of be daring from an artistic standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, I would be very intrigued in seeing something like that. They'd probably have to lower the price point a bit. Because I'm not paying $60 to get killed by a dragon.
Yeah.
I mean, I
not.
technically do, but at least I can respawn, kind of thing. There's no real respawning from getting your head chopped off. So, yeah.
Well, maybe you could play the whole game as a ghost.
I would be so down with that. Get on it, modders. Get on it, Chris.
The whole game, you're just haunting people.
Live another death.
In Riverwood. Yeah.
That's the new mod. Claim it, quick. Jump on it. Go, Chris, go. That can be your new submission.
Yeah, you could use ghost powers to influence people. Like, you're like Navi, more or less. You're like a ghost. You're haunting like this person that's like Dragonborn.
Dragonborn! Listen!
Yeah.
Dragonborn! You know what you should do?
And then you could possess them. You could possess different people.
I
That
feel
would
like...
be a cool game
I
mechanic.
feel like, Chris, you are describing Beyond Two Souls here now.
I've never played it, so...
I've watched a playthrough of it.
You played it on YouTube.
Yeah, I played it on YouTube. So today we learned that Chris is actually David Cage.
Yeah. Oh, God.
You poor soul.
On that note, me and a train have a date tonight. Because I can't live in this world anymore.
Speaking of trains...
Yes. Speaking of trains, where are you going with this?
There was so last week we had the episode of Stranger Things where Elle was trained to shift a train cart.
But
Look at how fucking smooth that was.
Wow. Like butter.
Yeah. So Stranger Things, we're doing 2 episodes this week because next week is the Christmas special. Yeah. So, we're rounding up the entire series of Stranger Things.
You're finally finished. You can finally spoil all your thoughts.
Finally!
And I will know what you're talking about.
Yes!
What did you think of the episodes?
The season definitely got better as it went on. Mike had more of a role to play, and Mike actually got to do some acting, which was nice.
Yeah, I read something somewhere that because he was in like the movie It and he's doing a lot of other side projects, that it's possible that he didn't just have enough time to be involved more. I don't know if that was a factor.
That wouldn't have surprised me, just because of how shooting schedules and things fall. But yeah, he actually got some really decent scenes in this episode where he got to do some really serious emotional acting. Should we go through the play-by-play?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I don't like leading this discussion. So at the end of not the last episode, because we don't talk about the last episode because it was kind of shit.
Well, we learned that Will
is the spy.
Actually a spy. Yeah.
So just skipping out episode 7, we learned that Will is the spy, and Mike figures it out instantly, and he's like, guys, we got to sedate him. And Joyce is like, no, my boy! And Will is like,
actually,
yeah, but are you my mom? And Joyce is like, yes, I'm your mom! And then she stabs him.
I found that scene hilarious because she asked him, do you know my name? And for 6 episodes, we didn't know her name. We just called her Winona Ryder.
That is how you get stabbed with anesthetic.
I thought he was going to say something like, aren't you that woman from Beetlejuice?
Are you that woman who got done in the early 2000s for robbing a designer store?
Yeah. Well, see, that would have been really trippy because he would have to access his now memories for that because, they're in 1980.
Yeah, he'd have to. Right? No, he'd have to access his future balding. I don't know, how old would he be in the early 2000s? He'd be in his 30s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how
even
age
Beetlejuice
works.
Came out in 1988.
Really?
And Winona was a kid in that movie, right?
Yeah, she was 14, 15. At least she was playing a 14 or 15-year-old.
It would have been Back to the Future shit where they'd be the same age and then she'd hit on him creepy style.
Yeah, man, I really want to rewatch Beetlejuice. I love that film. Anyway,
because Will
sorry,
Will doesn't have a girl, right?
no,
He's like the only one. Well, we're skipping ahead.
Yeah,
to the end.
we're skipping ahead.
But yeah, so they get trapped in that room, and then Bob decides to be a hero, right?
Samuel Gamgee, Samwise Barley,
The true hero of the story, because he's the only one who knows basic.
I thought that was actually a really, really nice way for him to go. Like, he went being the hero, but not in a stereotypical macho gizmo type way.
Yeah, he did it on his terms.
Yeah.
More or less. Using his wits and also his bravery, I guess, in a sense. But I do find the end to be a little, how he died to be a little bit like immersion breaking, because like, why did he just stop after he, like, you know, got past those double doors and that demodog is right on his ass? You would think he would just keep running or run into Joyce's arms,
because he knew that it would be a distraction. Because
Ah.
if he died, if he fell, that would give everyone more time to escape.
No, but he didn't know that they were going to break through the doors. He thought he successfully got to the other side.
I wasn't paying that much attention on my rewatch, to be fair.
Because if that was the plan, he would have told Joyce to run. He would have been like, run! But he just kind of stopped and just like looked into her eyes, and then they were kind of just staring at each other for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's
And they were
fair.
trying to give him this whole scene. The way it happened was very dramatic and very kind of contrived and scripted, I thought. Whereas in real life, imagine you're getting chased by something. You barely get past it by closing the door on it, right? You've seen the power that these dogs have. They could probably burst through the door at any second, and Joyce is standing right there. First thing, instinct would be to run, right?
Yeah.
I'm just
I
just like picking dicks.
Now you're making reasonable arguments. That's 2 weeks in a row, Chris, that you've outsmarted me. Fuck you.
Broken clock is right twice a day.
Aw, you're not a broken clock, Chris. You're just one that ticks slightly slower than everyone else. I don't know what that metaphor means. I'm just bullshitting out my ass.
It does take me like a second to gather my thoughts sometimes.
Which is why you edit all the awkward silences out.
Yeah. But yeah, Bob does get eaten by all the demodogs. But surprisingly, the scientist, Paul Reiser, doesn't. Like, they just chewed a bit of his thigh, and they're like, oh, I don't like the taste of this guy.
Yeah, he tastes too much like science and plot armor.
That was a strange thing. Of all the places for him to, I mean, it'd make more sense if there was a dead dog next to him or something like that. Like, he managed to kill it. But, no, he's just sitting there, his leg half chewed off, just chilling. But yeah, that's jumping ahead, too. What else happened? Run us through this.
So, Steve and his children, his little flock of chicks, meet up with Jonathan and Nancy. So they all meet up and they're all like, hey, the gang's all back together. Although they never really hung out in the first season, so it's not really, hey, the gang's all back together, and more Steve's like, oh shit, that's my ex. And I'm just hanging around with a load of kids.
And the baseball bat with nails in it.
Yeah, and a baseball bat with nails in it. So they all drive up and they give everyone, like, prime time to escape. They bring up the cars and everyone zooms off and they run off back to the house.
Well, they get back to the house and the whole deal is that they're trying to figure out how to stop the big bad.
Yes.
And they feel like Will would know this information, so they kind of put Will into this like makeshift like interrogation room, and they try to like bring him back by like talking about the past, talking about their experiences together.
Yeah.
And Hopper notices that like even though Will's still talking like he's the the evil guy,
Demodog Gorgon.
We need a name for this guy, Cthulhu or something. I don't know what he is. We need a name.
Yeah, let's go with
him.
Cthulhu.
Okay, so Cthulhu's still talking, but Hopper notices that Will's actually speaking them with Morse code, which is kind of like it's something that's a callback, I guess, to like something that we know about Hopper, that he knows Morse code and that he speaks to kids through Morse code. So he recognizes that immediately, and they use that to kind of communicate with Will. But Cthulhu kind of outsmarts them by like making the phone ring, so he uses the phone's location to kind of recognize where they are.
That goddamn phone.
Yeah. Six's demodog's on him, and that's when 11 shows up to save the day. Looking like her badass self.
Yeah. Looking like a badass bitchin' kid. The scene with Will's interrogation, they lifted that directly from Panic at the Disco's LA Devotee video. Yes. They have the same actor. He is strapped in a chair. He has a bright white light shining on him. He is being interrogated, and he is being tortured, and he is being possessed by some evil, crazy spirit that probably has some metaphorical meaning that I can't quite grasp. Basically, they went to the LA Devotee shop set, and they were like, yeah. So we're just gonna steal all this B-roll, and...
They didn't even need to shoot it. They just probably spliced in scenes.
Honestly, I would not be surprised. But yeah, here we go. We have now revealed on this show that I am a secret kind of Panic at the Disco fan.
Oh, nice.
I have terrible taste in music. What can I say?
Don't we all? It's okay. I like everything. It doesn't matter what it is. I probably like it.
Okay.
Even country.
That's where I draw the line. I'm not big on country. I like to think that I'm a very...
Yeah, see, I don't know anything about it, but if you, like, play me a song, I'll be like, oh, I like this. Like, some John Denver or something. You've heard John Denver, right? Like Country Road song, West Virginia.
I think you should sing to me.
No.
The only one that's coming into my head at the minute is I got bells that jingle, jangle, jingle.
Oh, see, that's Fallout.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking, you know that Country Roads Take Me Home.
Country roads take me home.
To the place that I belong. See, you know it.
Oh, Virginia.
West Virginia. Was it West Virginia Mountain something?
Take me home, take.
See, you know it. You like country. Come on. Who doesn't like country?
I feel like that's just turned up in a lot of movies that I've watched. That's my excuse.
Yeah. This is why we need to have Takahashi play the song.
But we can't do that, Chris, because my internet's shit.
Because we're on Skype.
Yeah.
Anyways, what were we talking about?
Interrogation, music,
Elle
telephone. Elle comes along. Boom! Next episode. So we are on to the hour-long finale.
Yes.
Of Stranger Things. And it starts off with, finally, some emotion from Mike. Some acting from Mike. He runs up, he hugs Elle, he has a fucking screaming fit at Hopper, and it's like, yeah, this is why you were one of the lead characters last season.
Yeah, he was completely absent from this season.
He was just a complete non-entity.
It was really weird. Like, they made him almost dependent on Elle. Like, isn't there a test for... I mean, it's not for men. Usually it's for women. There's a test. What's it called?
Bechdel test.
Bechdel
is what
test.
I think you're going on about. The one where...
Yes.
two female characters have to speak to each other about something other than a man.
Yeah, and in Mike's case, I don't know if he passed the Bechdel test.
Yeah, I don't know if he had a conversation that didn't regard Elle in some way, shape, or form. Honestly, he's been just so unmemorable this season. He's not been given any good material until this episode where he was having his raging fit at Hopper.
And he was finally given, like...
decent material.
I don't know, agency in terms of just, like, both the drugging of Will to kind of, you know, silence him, and also, like, the plan to create a diversion.
Yeah.
So that Elle can close the gate.
He suddenly became a character again.
Yeah.
Instead of this weird little sidelines extra.
And just the kids in general, they were finally given some kind of, I don't know, purpose.
They were allowed to work together towards something.
Yeah.
Finally. What we've been waiting all season for.
Yeah. This season seemed to center more around the adults.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like it wasn't really about the kids, which just kind of takes away the soul of what Stranger Things is. It became more of an Avengers kind of thing, where it's less about the characters as it is like saving the world, and it's just, you know, they're there for this singular purpose, saving the world, and the character development and the interaction between them becomes secondary to that.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it was just like, again, third week in a row, heart and soul of the show. It's what made the show so popular. And if you've got good kid actors, fucking use them, because they're a one in a million kind of thing.
Where do you think they're going with Dustin and his whole like science thing, where he's like naming everything and just like, I don't know, he's like really insistent they call him demodogs.
I don't know, I think it's just like a character trait.
Okay, because they were really, really hammering that home. Like,
yeah, I mean, he's obviously got like a lot of intelligence in that kind of way, but it's like how I get really pissed off with people called Old English, ye olde English.
oh, okay.
So maybe I'm actually Dustin.
Maybe. Do you have a pet demodog?
I'm gonna say no, but that's just because they don't actually exist. Like, if
true.
they did exist, I would probably have one.
Do you like Three Musketeers?
I've never read or watched any of the adaptations.
That is such an Alice answer. I'm talking about the candy bar and you're talking about like the novel.
No, I haven't, and I just...
But yeah, so Steve and the kids, they go to create a diversion. More nitpicking. I don't know why they didn't make a long like fire trail to the exit. That didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
to
they
me.
didn't have to run all that way, guys. Come on.
Yeah. They were smart enough to make a trail just like 10 feet away from the center, but not all the way out to the exit. It didn't make any
Like,
sense.
guys, come on. Maybe they ran out of lighter fluid, I don't know. That was a nice lighter that they lost as well. Were disposable lighters a thing in the 80s?
Yeah, I'm sure they were.
Because that was a really nice lighter. I say this as someone who doesn't smoke.
Alice, you're thinking of the important things, not the fate of the world, but the fate of that lighter.
It looks expensive, okay? Like, sure, yeah, it makes dramatic shot and things like that, but, you know, if they'd had a proper fuse, they could have just used a disposable lighter instead of one of the cool flicky-uppy lighters.
Yeah, but now you know where they spent that budget from using the B-roll from that music video.
Spent it on that quick-ass silver lighter.
Save money on Will's interrogation. Use that money on a new lighter for Steve.
I mean, I can't blame him. It's a kick-ass lighter. But yeah, so they created a distraction for the demo dogs whilst Elle and Hopper went to close the gate. But before...
One more thing before that. On the way out, they did run into Dart again.
Oh, yeah, they did. Which is why you mentioned Three Musketeers.
Yeah, I didn't like how... I thought it would be an easy emotional thing to have Dart save them from the other demodogs. But the way it played out, I don't know. It was just kind of like, Like, okay, so which side is Dart on? Like, you know, it's just... I didn't really get it. Like, what
He's
was going
on the
there.
side of free chocolate, which is a side I can always get behind.
It just wasn't like really emotional for him to just let them pass. Whereas if he risked his life for the kids, it would have been something more like an emotional gut punch, I think.
Instead of just, no, you can pass, it's fine. See you later, guys.
Yeah. I won't kill you today, tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow, yeah, sure. You've got to bear in mind, it's likely that Dart died at the end of this episode.
Yeah, pretty much. He was in the path of the fire, maybe. I don't know. Or no, wait, they didn't make a path. What am I saying?
No, they didn't make a path at all.
But yeah, after that, go ahead.
So before we jump over to Ellen Hopper, we'll jump over to Joyce and Jonathan and Nancy and Will, where they decide that the best way to get rid of demon possession is to burn it out of him.
Yes.
And you do get this really fantastic scene of Jonathan trying to, like, pull the plug on the whole operation, and Joyce trying to restrain her son, and she ends up nearly dying because of it. Which is really fantastic. It's really beautifully done. Like, it's very emotional.
Yeah.
And then Nancy stabs Will with a poker. Because,
that was crazy.
Yeah. She's crazy, that girl. I love her.
Yeah, that whole tug of war between all the characters was really well done. Like you were saying, Jonathan thought it was too much, and Joyce was just like, no, my boy. And then
My boy!
You know, and then it was Nancy who, like, really doesn't have as much of a stake in it. Who, like, puts in the coup de grace, more or less. But yeah, you could see it all coming together because it was not only what they were doing, but it was, like, the fire that the kids were setting.
Yeah.
That was probably also leading to the whole, like, exorcism.
It was really nice how it all, like, meshed together. And then finally we have the scene with Hopper and Elle, or Jane, as we should probably start calling her, where it's basically BioShock, where you're defending the little sister from all the crazies, and you're just having to shoot things down, or any escort mission, really.
Yeah,
in video games, where they're just getting attacked by demodogs and Hopper runs out of ammo, so he has to move over to a shotgun.
Yeah, and then she did that whole, like, fucking Dragon Ball Z shit.
Yeah, she goes all Super Saiyan on that shit.
Puts up 2 hands instead of 1, and 2 nosebleeds, dual nosebleeds, and it's just... Yeah.
She should have started bleeding from the eyes.
Oh, God, no.
Metal as fuck.
Alice. That would have been pretty metal. Why didn't Cthulhu just go through the gate in the first place?
I don't know, he was just like, hey guys, I'm just hanging out behind here. Hope everything's okay over on the upside down. It's okay.
If he didn't create this huge fuss, then no one would ever notice. He would have just slid right in, just like, you know, like, hey, how's it going? Showed up at the high school dance.
Hi, kids. I'm the devil. Well, I'm Cthulhu.
Yeah.
How's it going, guys? I'm Cthulhu. I'm gonna fuck your dance up.
Anybody got the answers to that science test? Just blend in.
Like 20 feet tall.
Yeah.
So,
Wearing a cheap suit.
Okay, so I have to ask. Are school dances that big a thing in America?
Yes!
Really?
They're the thing. At least, I don't know about now, but in the 80s and 90s they were.
Really?
They were the thing, yes. That's where you, like, you know, you bring a girl to a dance. That's, like, the big thing. It's like you're dating.
That doesn't happen here. The closest we've got, at least from my...
It might not happen here now, but we're talking about the 80s and 90s. Like, this is before the internet. Like, I'm going to try to explain to you. Kids are basically, like, they're not very good at, like, I don't know, talking to girls, or at least boys aren't, like, at that age, right?
I mean, I know plenty of guys my age who aren't very good at talking to girls, so,
yeah.
you know.
But see, like, if you're a 10-year-old boy, like, put yourself in that, I don't know how old they're, 10, 12, 13,
13,
whatever, junior
13.
high. Yeah, I think dances started junior high, so 13. You're a 13-year-old boy, you like a girl. It's probably really difficult to go up and talk to her, ask her out, like, you know, start dating, right? I mean, it does happen, but if you have a dance, you have an excuse. You're supposed to go and ask girls to dance or ask girls to be your date. It gives you that extra reason as opposed to just going up to a girl and just saying, hey, let's go to movies or whatever. You have a dance, it's like expected for you to do that. So it helps give kids like a little bit of extra courage, I think. I don't know if it's the same now, but it was that way back in the 80s and 90s.
I just find it so weird thinking about, like, 12 and 13-year-old kids being interested in that.
What?
Yeah.
You were not interested in boys at 13?
No.
See, that I find that weird. I was interested in girls in, like, 2nd grade, which would be, like, 6 or 7 years old.
No, like, I wasn't interested in guys until I was at least 16.
See, that's strange to me.
Stranger things have happened.
But see, I would imagine you'd be like the goth kid.
Yeah, I was a pretty late bloomer anyway, so probably don't take my word for it.
Like, if you were like an outsider, like a goth kid, the goth kids would never show up to the dances.
I did show up to the dances, but I showed up in my really weird, like, half-mesh t-shirts and things. It was a rough time in my life. It was basically an excuse to not turn up to school in uniform. So, you know.
Yeah. Fucking normies and their dances.
Fucking normies! Going to school and shit.
Like, a school dance is like what the club is now, right? I'd assume. But it didn't make sense to me as far as just like being in a place with loud music where you can't even hear other people talk. I do understand it as why it was so popular though, because it was a place to like ask the girl out that you might have been too afraid to ask out otherwise. You had an excuse to do so. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see that. I don't know. I don't think guys, well, children at my schools were really interested in it in that kind of way. They were more interested
There
in
were
just
nobody like dating at that age, because like there were at least like 2 or 3 people who were dating. I remember when I was in middle school.
I did date my best friend for like 3 weeks.
Ah, there you go. See, personal
But it wasn't
experience.
actual dating. It was more, we were best friends, and everyone said that we were dating, but we weren't.
Yeah.
I just went round to his house and played with trains. It was great.
Trains.
Yeah.
So you guys stay away from trains.
Fucking trains, man.
Comes first circle.
They're infiltrating the episode. I guess that's why you could say that my love life is a train wreck. But
no, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah. Getting real here.
But anyways, so the kids went to the dance, and then they ended with Will not having a girl. He got stuck with a rando. Dustin ended up dancing with Nancy. Of course, Mike ends up with Jane.
Yeah.
And of course, Lucas and Max are together. But
Yeah.
yeah, poor Will.
But he gets like a kind of cute girl who I think has been implied to be popular.
Yeah, I don't like how she called him zombie.
No,
but
that's
cool.
not the way to worm your way into a guy's affections.
No.
But, you know, kids.
And then we have him dance off to the police.
Yeah. Dancing to one of the most stalkerish songs of the 80s that is not romantic in any way, shape, or form.
But do people really pay attention to the lyrics?
No, they don't. But every step you take, every poop you make, I'll be watching you.
Maybe they were talking about, the Cthulhu. Maybe it was a reference to him. He was at the dance. He did show up.
Yeah.
Without a date.
He never got his answers to the science homework.
No.
Poor guy.
Poor guy. He's gonna fail that test.
He's gonna wake up tomorrow and just be like, oh, god damn it. What did I do?
Maybe he can date Billy.
Oh yeah, we didn't even
They seem made
discuss
for each
Billy's
other.
backstory. That he
That they try
is
to cram
part
in
of
at the
a
end.
broken home, and his dad's abusive, and
So that makes him abusive. It's like a cycle.
yeah. I feel like it could have been alluded towards. If it had been alluded towards earlier in the season, I would have been more sympathetic to it, but because it was literally just introduced for 5 minutes,
Yeah.
there was no indication of anything like that going on in the rest of the season.
It really
It
didn't
kind
even...
of just seemed a bit ham-fisted in.
Yeah, he didn't even need to be in the season, I don't think. He provided nothing.
He beat up Steve.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, he beat up Steve.
Yeah, but they didn't have to have Steve get a
No.
concussion for them to eventually go there. They could have just snuck out and got in the car, and then
Yeah.
like Steve could have just like,
Run after them, yeah.
or
I
no, he
think
could have
with-
followed them in his own car, right? He had his
Yeah.
own car. Yeah.
With Billy, it was too little too late. Like, with his character development and things. Like,
Yeah.
if
I
they'd
don't
have
know.
alluded to it a little bit more, yeah, I'd have been fine with it. I'd have been a lot more sympathetic. But they didn't. Though he did have a great scene with Mike and Nancy's mom. Which is one of my favourite scenes in the season.
Oh yeah, where he was hitting on her.
It was just, oh my god, it was just so, like, 70s porno romance novel.
Yeah,
it was hilarious.
See, I thought that was unnecessary too. I was like, okay, where are we
Oh
going?
yeah,
with
it was
this? What's the
unnecessary,
point?
but it was hilarious.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, it was just I don't understand his character. I don't understand like why he was in the show. I mean, I understand why he is who he is, but I don't understand why he's in the show. He didn't.
Yeah,
need to be.
he was pretty much just a pointless part.
No.
To be honest, he was a way of padding the runtime a little bit.
Where do you think it's headed, season 3?
Oh God, I reckon we're gonna see 7, 8, and 9.
No, we're not going to see 9.
Is it 8 or is it 9?
It's 8, but we're not going to see 9 because 7, 8, 9.
Oh, fuck off. Yeah, I think we're going to see some more specimens.
But do you see how that's going to push us away from the kids?
Yeah,
It's gonna become
I don't
more of a
want to
teen
be pushed
show.
away from the kids, but I feel like that's the way that they're going to try and take it.
It's turning into X-Men.
Yeah.
More or less.
I feel like that's the way that they're going to take it, even if that's not a way that I agree with, necessarily.
I kind of feel like they need to just go to the 90s and have the kids grow up.
And have them be in high school for a bit.
Yeah, just change it up and have different little kids. I mean, are there any little kids that are related to them? Probably not, but...
There's
maybe...
Lucas's sister.
Oh, there you go.
We can have a whole series centered around Lucas's sassy little sister.
Yeah, there you go. And her friends. And then have Dustin and all those other kids be the grown-up kids. But yeah, like I think they need to change it up. This is why
I don't work for Netflix.
Yeah. I definitely think the 80s formula is done as far as like where they're going with that. I've talked about the show all the time, but *Halt and Catch Fire* started out in the 80s.
Yeah.
But what they did is they just said, fuck it, we're not going to stick with this formula. We're going to change it up. We're going to constantly evolve. And that was the thing that was great about the show, is that it would introduce new technology, different eras, and we would see how that would affect the relationships of the characters. But in the end, it was still about the characters. And I feel like with Stranger Things, you can introduce new villains, you can put the characters in a different era, but at the end of the day, it has to be about the characters.
Yeah, they need to bring it back to the characters.
Yeah.
And back to actually giving them something interesting to do, Mike.
Yeah. Because that was the charm of the first season, was that it was about the kids, and the kids were finding ways to kind of combat this evil or whatever, or save Will. And they were doing it together, and they were doing it like without the influence of adults. It was like their kind of adventure. And now it feels like it's just X-Men here to save the world.
Yeah, I can see that. It's quite disappointing. Hopefully, if any of the Duffer Brothers are listening to us...
Yeah, which they are, obviously.
Obviously. They're part of our 100-strong viewership. Yeah, bring it back to the characters, guys. Bring it back to the characters.
Bring back some of the mystery, too.
Yeah, I'm done with that.
But yeah, overall, I still like this season. It was fun to watch.
It was fun to watch, but I was disappointed, but that's probably because the first season set its expectations so high. So I'm going to watch the third season. Whether I enjoy it as much as I want to is another matter entirely, but I'm not adverse to watching shows that I don't like. So, you know.
Yeah, we've proven that time and time
We have
again.
proven that time and time again.
Next week, we're going to try and cover Star Wars.
And
The Last
the
Jedi.
Star Wars holiday
you keep
special.
saying this. I have no idea what this thing
I've
is you're
sent
talking
you
about.
the link to it.
You mean that's it? It's on YouTube, the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why you keep talking about this like I'm going to watch it, but okay.
You are going to watch it, Chris, and you are going to love it. You are going to love it. It is legendarily bad.
Right in your wheelhouse, I assume.
Yes, it's amazing.
So tune in for that.
Happy Christmas for next week. Happy preemptive Christmas.
All right. Goodbye.
Oh, apparently this guy is impressing me by playing 1,000+ hours in Skyrim.
Hello.
So that's nice.
Hello.
Hi. I was just
You're saying something about Skyrim?
Yeah, I was just regaling the recording about some of my Tinder matches.
Oh, nice.
So,
any good matches this week?
Well, this guy is impressing me by saying, I've played 1,000+ hours in Skyrim, by the way. I'm like,
Oh.
cool, okay, cool. You're hot though, so I'll reply. I'm just like...
I've never thought I would hear the day that someone would use his Skyrim hours to impress a girl.
Let me read out my profile. I feel like it kind of invites that kind
relevant.
of thing, to be fair. Like, on the plus side, I don't get any dick pics, which is great. So let's just have a look at my profile.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would imagine that it doesn't matter what your profile says, you would get dick pics no matter what.
not really surprisingly. Let me read out my profile, and I will let you know what kind of offers I
Okay.
get. So, Alice, 22. I like plaiting hair whilst drunk. Studying MA in Anglo-Saxon and Vikings, and planning a dissertation about how that shit fits into Skyrim. Mediocre voice actor, alright rollerblader, fantastic calves, kind of shitty goth. A willingness to fulfill my dream of becoming a duck owner is essential. And I get a lot of people asking me if duck is a typo, and it's like, do you really want me to own a dick? Really?
Yeah. Smooth.
So many witty comments.
Is duck a typo? Did you mean to type dick? Yeah.
Yes,
Real
that is
smooth.
exactly what I meant. Which is exactly why all of my social media handles are ducks going up. I just typoed all of them.
Which is why I would suspect that you would get more than your fair share of dick pics.
Well, can't actually share photos on Instagram. You can only share on Tinder. You can only share GIFs. So I don't get any dick GIFs either, because I don't think they're available.
Dicks aren't very gifable anyway.
No, not really. I mean, it depends. Like, on... I don't know. Let's...
If you're a shower or a
Yeah.
grower, I suppose.
It could be
If
like
you're
one
a
of those like
grower, I
time
guess.
lapses of like flowers opening, but with...
Yeah.
So Stranger Things!